Hey Scrappy peeps, Susannah here today to share with you a layout I created for the Spring into Scrappin YouTube hop that is being hosted by Tuesdae over at Cheeky.Studio. This is the layout that I created. I do not have any product from Cheeky.Studio. However, there is a great code available and there is a great giveaway that is being sponsored by Cheeky.Studio if you head on over to the Cheeky.Studio blog. I am using a mix of goodies from the latest PinkFresh Studio collections. I have these two pictures that make me think of spring, and the primary colors in these pictures are the orange or the red in the robin's breast, and then green foliage along with the purple. Purple embellishments are really hard to find, especially in this color combination. So I decided that I was going to pick up on the green and the orange to really sort of accentuate the photos. So I was able to find those particular colors in this PinkFresh Studio. And so what I did was I gutted that gingham there. And I felt really bad that I had left the flowers from the outer portion of what I had cut a frame out of, and thought that maybe I might use them on the outside of the gingham frame that I created, like I've done here. But it wasn't the look that I was looking for. My original plan was to do the gingham frame on white cardstock, just as I've done there, and then to fussy cut some of the flowers and put them in as well. But the problem is that the inner part of the gingham, which is the flowers on the back side, as you can see there, didn't leave a whole lot of flowers on the inside. And I have a second piece of this, but I have other plans for that. So I had to get over myself and get over the fact that I've got plenty of things and just get on with what it was that I had originally planned to do. So you can see that the frame is a little bit delicate, especially when you've already put adhesive and it wants to stick to everything. So I needed the outside part of that to lay down the frame straight. I really liked this orange that is from a slightly different collection, and I was inspired by the asymmetrical scallop that was in a piece of paper from that particular collection, Let Your Heart Decide, and so I kind of mimicked that on a straight line so that I could create an additional border. I really needed this pop of this sort of really brighter red orange to pop the breast in the robin there. So I went upstairs and I used a zigzag stitch and I zigzagged in orange around some of that gingham, again just to add a little pop of color. And I left the threads floating because I liked the way that they looked on the page. So I have these. I went to CHA and I hung out with some of the gals at the PinkFresh Studio booth, and so I also picked up some of the things, the make and take things they were giving away. And so I had this card that was cut to do a make and take. And I wanted to incorporate that because it has that same orange in the collection into the layout as well. And originally I was going to put the robin on that card, but I really liked the way that the orange popped the green and the purple in that picture of the flower, the purple flower. It's called an onion flower, which I know has another gardener's name that I can't think of off of the top of my head right now. So there's that pop of orange, and I really like the way that it sort of really popped the picture and made it stand out much more. I had a little bit of leftover, and I'm going to put it on the right-hand side here, and you'll see later on in the layout that I struggle with this. I really feel like it needs another pop, heavy pop of that red-orange, but by putting it where I've got it on that right-hand side there, I feel like it kind of sandwiches the layout and closes it in on the horizontal, which I didn't want to do. I'm going to add a little bit more of the fun foam behind the second picture because I've already popped the top picture and I want them to overlap. I have to put foam underneath that second one, otherwise the photo is going to slide downhill. And then it's time to, I've decided on the bulk of where the pictures are going to go, so now it's just time to embellish the layout a little more. Again, this is another piece that's from CHA, and I love those black sort of splatters, and it makes me think of spring for some reason, and it just added another little crispness to the photo there. Something that I missed earlier on in the video that I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about is I had two types of white paper, cardstock. I'm not sure if you saw. One of them was basil and one of them was American Crafts white, and I ended up going with the basil because it was the same hue of white as that white with the floral around it, and the American Crafts paper did not match at all. So I have the 6x6 paper pad of this same floral paper. So I've cut into the 6x6 paper pad to fussy cut some flowers just for a little bit of embellishment on the page. I didn't use the big flowers because I didn't want them to compete with the size of that purple flower. I really wanted the emphasis to be on the picture, and these smaller flowers are a lot more subtle because they're smaller and they're on a different scale than the size of the purple flower there. So I have this space that's between the picture of the robin and that orange border there that really ends up bothering me, and I need to close that out, which I don't actually end up doing on video. You can't see it when you're creating. It's that empty space and it just, ugh. Anyway, so I have a bunch of the stickers from the PinkFresh collection. And I believe this is, I'm not sure which collection this is. I'll have to get back to you on that one because I did mix up several collections. I thought I'd use some of those epoxies. That was my original intent, but none of the sayings really went with the spaces that I had left. And then this is from the generic collection. And I'm going to use a few of the stitched hearts. And I was trying to create my visual triangle with these stitched hearts. And in retrospect, the green one that I've got down on top of that green gingham border, I wish I hadn't put there. I wish I'd put the orange, but it is what it is, so we're going to go with it. And I found Moments from the Die Pack collection and decided then that that was going to be my title, and I was going to use those green letters to do Spring Moments. So again, there's that stripe or the asymmetrical scallop that I really wanted to incorporate into the layout and just struggled with. Trying out a few of the other embellishments and seeing if they'll work, and ultimately decide that nothing really was going to work from that particular set of collection. So I also had the stamp set, and I really wanted to put some additional green into the layout. So I'm going to use I'm going to use that darker green, the sort of more Kelly green, and then that lighter sort of more mint color just for a little bit of depth to the layout. And I'm going to stamp some green behind that orange thread that I've got tucked in there. And I'm also going to use that to fill that hole, that gap there. And while I do fill that gap, there's something else that ends up needing to go in there, which I will do off camera. And I will use some of the puffy stickers that also come from that. And that is the mix number 2. They're not a collection, they're just a bunch of embellishments, which is really cool. So there's that mint that I'm going to stamp there, and then I'll have to tuck the thread back in along with the fussy cut flowers that I've put there. So Cheeky.Studio has some really cool die cuts. They sell some shimmers product. There's some bows. They have some digital downloads. So when you can't get a chance, be sure to head on over to Cheeky.Studio and see what goodies they have there. My thread ball that I got to kind of tuck in there, and that ends up being the bulk of the decoration and the embellishments on this layout to help sort of tell the story. Because I want the title to coordinate with that photo cluster there, I'm going to put some more foam on the back of that. I also know I'm going to use the puffy stickers as well, so again, just adding dimension to the layout. And I love the way that that foliage sort of pops up out of the title. And then we are going to do the typical Susannah title shuffle, put down some letters and move them, because yet again, I did not leave enough room for the word. I probably could have gotten away with it, but it would have been hiding underneath the top part of that T there. So it was better to just go ahead and shuffle them around there. So here I am with that. That scallop, and I actually used that in that case to try and line up the letters. And there's that orange, the green heart that I wish I had flip-flopped with the orange one that I'll end up putting down the bottom there. So there's the orange one. And again, I wish I had flip-flopped those, but it is what it is. So I'm going to get some glue dots to stick those down. It's just an easier way of doing it, quick and easy way, because there is a little bit of depth to them. I'm going to trim off these, some of the, I'm actually not going to shorten them. I'm just going to trim them off a little. And now I want a flower to coordinate into the title. So I'm going to speed up the fussy cut of that and incorporate that into the layout. So thanks for hopping along with me. Be sure to check in the reference in the info box down below to see who to hop to next. And be sure to head on over to the Cheeky.Studio blog for a prize. So that, my friends, is my layout for the Spring into Scrappin' video hop. Thanks for joining me. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you join me today. I try and post twice a week. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments down below. Thanks for joining me. Take care.